Okay, so we're on chapter 5 or lesson 5, and we're not going to do the first file in there on raw files because nobody uses those in this class. Anyway, we're going to start with 05B start, and so if you open that, and we're on page 141. And the first thing we're going to do is make a copy of this file, and we're going to do that by dragging down here to this little layer here to make a new layer, and we're going to call this corrections. Okay, so now that we've got that, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make an adjustment layer using levels. Now in the past we've gone up to image adjustments and levels. But today we're going to use an adjustment layer. The advantage to adjustment layer is if you don't like the way it looks, you just delete the layer. So here we go. We click on that and this panel comes up. Now this little dark arrow here indicates the shadow. The white one indicates the highlights, and the one in the middle is the midtones rather. Now, you see how this is kind of flat, and what you want to do is get your shadow here at the beginning of the line there. Move it over, and then make sure that your highlights are at the beginning of the other side. Then you take your midtones and move it in the middle here, and you can see how that looks. You can also use the white point to sample the white, and this will do some color correction for you, especially on 70s type images. This is the black point to find your black area, and you can sample a gray area using this. So we're finished with this now, and I'm just going to move that over by clicking there, and I'm just going to show you the difference it makes by clicking on and off the layers here. So now that we have that, what we're going to do is zoom in on her face, and she has some little hairs here on her face. So we're going to go to the spot healing brush. And if you're following in the book, this would be on page 143. And what we're going to do is set the brush at 7. And if you just come to the side here, you can just either scrub through this and put in a 7. Oh, one did an 8. Well, I guess we're going to have to stick with the 8. That's okay. And content aware, and the mode is normal. Now we're going to go along her here, this little hair. Oops, no wonder I have to be on the corrections layer to get this to work. Okay, now I'm good. All right, so I'm just going to go along there, and actually you can do this in little brushes to get this to work for you. And you may want to zoom in on certain areas, like here, just to clean that up. Go back here. And I'm just going to clean up these various hairs here. There we go. And then I'll use my hand by going on the space bar and dragging up here. You can see she has a few hairs here. And she has some in the eye here. And here I'm just going to click. That's good. here. And what Photoshop is looking for is the skin around these hairs. And it's analyzing it and making it as close to the skin around as can be. So I'm just about finished with this now. Okay, and I'm going to Control 0 to bring up my face. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go to the Dodge tool. We're going to use the Dodge tool and the Sponge tool on her face. You can see she's got a lot of smears on her makeup here. And we'll zoom in on that, like that. And it makes her look a little bit like a raccoon. So we're going to go to the Dodge tool here, which lightens things like that. Okay. And I'm going to make this a little bit big here. That's about right. And just lighten. And the more you go under her eye, I'm going to make it just a tad smaller here, the more it lightens it, you see. Okay. I'd like to see it a little lighter than that, but it's changing color just a little bit. I might, let's try doing highlights instead of midtones. There we go. Oh, that's too raccoony. Okay, let's change this to shadows and see what happens. Oh, there, that's much better. With shadows. All right, I like that. Okay. So that makes her look a little better there. And we're going to lighten up over here too a little bit, over above under her brow. Okay, and Control 0, and you can see how that is. Okay, so this is what we have now. You can see what we started with and what we have now. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is zoom in again on her eyes, but this time we're going to take the Sponge tool, which is under the Dodge tool down here, and we're going to use a 38 pixel brush, and we're going to saturate it with a 50% and turn on vibrance. And we're just going to hold this down and go over her eyeball a little bit. And then while we're here so close up, let's go back to the Dodge tool and make this just a little smaller. And let's just whiten her eyes just a little bit here. Tends to make the eyes pop a little bit. There, that's good. Control 0 gets us back. All right, so now we've got her face this way. And the next thing we're going to do is adjust the skin tones. Now, this is really kind of neat. So you go to Select and Color Range. And what we're going to do is where it says what to select, we're going to select Skin Tones. Okay? And we're going to make sure we've got Detect Faces on. All right? And we're going to say OK. And then with that on, we're going to make another adjustment layer, and this time we're going to go to the curves. And we want to brighten her skin just a little bit, so we're going to go to the midtones here and just ever so slightly raise that up. Okay, did you see that? Okay, when you get that done, close that and we're all set there. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do, I do want you to take the time to go back and read page 149. That tells you how to organize your camera for taking pictures. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to apply a surface blur. And so I'm going to make another copy here. Oops, I didn't want to do it. There we go. And I'm going to call this surface blur. And what I'm going to do here with this selected, I'm going to go to Filter and Blur and come down here to Surface Blur. And I'm going to do the radius at 5 and the threshold at 15. And say OK. And there we have it. Okay, so let's just take this off to see what this surface blur looks like. It's very subtle. You can see it's very, very subtle. I'm going to put these these adjustment layers back on. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go with the eraser and erase around her eyes here so that they're nice and bright, and around her nose so that defines it, and the mouth. And then we'll make a very large 400 pixel brush. Oh, that's way too much. Oh, let's just use the 300. And we're going to go around on the background here to just take the blur off of here. And we're going to make the opacity on this 50%. Okay, so let's see how it looks. It's very subtle change. Okay, so now we have this all done. What I'm going to do is hold down my Shift key, and select these layers that we did adjustments on, adjustment layers, and the other two layers, and come up here to this little arrow here, and we're going to go to Merge Layers. So now we only have two layers, and I'm going to toggle between these so you can see the before and the after. Before and after. Okay, I think we improved this, and we're going to be going on to the next one, which is 5C. Goodbye.